The plate of cookies exploded across the floor, shards skidding under the coffee table like tiny knives. For one beautiful second, nobody breathed. Then Beverly shrieked, her voice sharp enough to wake the dead. "Cheryl, what on earth is wrong with you?" Harold's face twisted in disgust, like I'd spit on the carpet. "You just ruined the night." Zach didn't look at my hands shaking, didn't look at my face, going pale. He stared at the mess like it was my only value, how well I could keep things clean. "Do you have any idea how ridiculous you're being?" he snapped. This was supposed to be a happy family gathering. Happy. That word hit me so hard I almost laughed. Samantha, my daughter, didn't even flinch. She stayed reclined on the sofa, legs tucked under her like she owned the room, like she owned me. Her lips curled in pure irritation. "Oh my God, Mom," she said, dragging the words out like I was an embarrassment. "It's just Hawaii. I'll take you next year. You always have to make everything about you." I blinked at her. Because 2 minutes ago, she had stood right there, shining with pride, handing out gifts like a celebrity at an awards show, a $1,000 Visa card for Zach, spa vouchers for Harold and Beverly, gourmet gift cards for Hanson and Emily. Everybody was praised. Everybody was hugged. And then when Emily quietly reminded her, "Sweetheart, I think you forgot someone," I felt that little ache of hope, the kind that humiliates you. Samantha smiled, bent down, and picked up our tiny dog, Coco, like she was picking up a trophy. Then she pulled out the last envelope and tucked it into Coco's sweater. "This one's for you, Coco," she cooed, "for being such a good girl this year." I remember my hand was still in the air, waiting like a fool who didn't know she'd been erased. I didn't even hear my own voice when it came out. "What about mine, Samantha?" She turned to me with a look that wasn't hate. It was worse. It was dismissal. "Mom, you're home all day. Asterisk, asterisk," she said, her tone sweet like poison. Asterisk, asterisk, you don't work. You don't know stress. Cooking and cleaning is your choice. You didn't help me with anything important." Zach's parents nodded like she'd just spoken scripture. And then Samantha dropped the second knife, smiling bright like she was announcing a miracle. "Oh, and guess what? I booked flights for everyone to spend New Year's in Hawaii. We leave tomorrow at noon." My chest tightened then loosened. Because even after everything, I still thought, maybe the trip is my gift. I leaned forward, scanning the envelopes, searching for my boarding pass. I couldn't find one. I looked up, confused. Samantha lifted her chin and spoke like she was giving instructions to staff. "Mom, you're not coming." The room went quiet again. "Coco can't be alone," she continued, calm as daylight. "You'll stay and watch her. You're perfect for that job. Perfect. For the dog. Not worth a plane ticket. Not worth a gift. Not worth a seat at my own family's table." Something broke in my chest so cleanly it felt like a snap. And before I could stop myself, my arm swung. The plate slipped, and the cookies shattered. That sound, that one violent sound, was the first thing that made them all finally look at me. Not with concern, with anger, as if my pain was the real crime. And when Zach pointed at the door and said, "If you can't handle it, then leave," I realized. He wasn't threatening me. He was dismissing me. "If you can't handle it, then leave." Zach's voice cut through the room like a judge's gavel. No hesitation. No regret. No, "Are you okay?" Just a command. I stared at him, waiting stupidly for something softer to follow. An explanation? A backtrack. 30 years of marriage had trained me to wait for the correction. It never came. Beverly crossed her arms, lips pursed in satisfaction. "Honestly, Cheryl, this behavior is embarrassing." Harold shook his head. Asterisk, asterisk, you've always been too emotional. Asterisk, asterisk. Samantha didn't even sit up. She reclined deeper into the sofa, scrolling on her phone like the scene unfolding in front of her was background noise. "Let her go," she said lazily. "She always runs off and comes back." She loves drama. That sentence hit harder than anything else that night. Because she said it with confidence. Like she'd tested it before. Like she knew I would fold. Something inside me went very still. I untied my apron slowly. My hands didn't shake anymore. That scared me more than the anger. I laid the apron on the chair. No one stopped me. Not my husband. Not my daughter. Not the people who had eaten my food for 20 years and never once asked how I was doing. I walked toward the bedroom. Behind me, I heard Emily whisper urgently, "Samantha, stop. Say something." Samantha didn't. I grabbed the nearest suitcase and started throwing clothes into it, messy, fast, careless. Pajamas, sweaters, jeans, my wallet, my ID, my phone. Emily followed me, panic in her eyes. She grabbed my arm. "Cheryl, please. It's late. Where are you going?" Before I could answer, Samantha's voice floated down the hallway, cold bored. "Don't worry. Aunt Emily. She'd just go cry to Grandma and come back like always. Always. 20 years of love reduced to a pattern they learned how to exploit." I gently pulled my arm free from Emily's grip. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just walked past her. Out the front door. No one followed. The cold night air hit my face, sharp and clean. The house behind me glowed warm and bright without me. I stood on the sidewalk and finally did the thing I hadn't done in years. I called my mother. "Mom," I said, my voice hollow but steady. "I'm not coming home for the holidays. I need space." She didn't interrogate me. She didn't ask why. She just said gently, "That sounds like a good idea, honey." Then, after a pause, she added, "Remember the old house I told you I might sell? It's done." The money came through. I swallowed. "I'm okay, Mom. I don't need anything." 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. $3,000 transferred. The note read, "For my dear daughter, go live your life." I broke down right there on the sidewalk. Because being loved like that quietly, without conditions, gives you the courage to walk away from everything that doesn't. I checked into a small boutique hotel downtown. For the first time in years, I slept alone, and I slept peacefully. The next morning, my phone rang and it was Zach demanding I come home like nothing had happened. The phone rang at 7:12 a.m. I stared at it from the hotel bed, sunlight spilling across unfamiliar white sheets. For one perfect second, I didn't recognize the sound. No alarms, no demands, no footsteps pacing outside the door. Then I saw the name, Zach. I let it ring twice before answering. "Where are you?" he snapped, skipping hello entirely. "I went by your mother's place. She said you never showed up." Enough of this. Come home now. Not are you safe. Not are you okay. Come home like a command to a dog who wandered too far. I didn't say a word. "Cheryl." His irritation sharpened. "Did you hear me?" I lifted the phone and ended the call. Just like that. My hands didn't shake. My chest didn't tighten. I felt calm. The kind of calm that only comes after something inside you has already died. Moments later, my phone lit up again. This time, it wasn't him. It was Samantha. Message after message. "Mom, aren't you too old for this kind of drama? Disappearing just to get attention is childish. We're flying to Hawaii tomorrow. If you don't come back, who's going to watch Coco? If anything happens to her, I'll never forgive you." I read the messages slowly. This was my daughter. The child I stayed up all night with when she had fevers. The girl who used to fall asleep on my chest and whisper, "You're the best mom in the world." Now I was the hired help who'd abandoned her post. I set the phone down. I didn't reply. Instead, I remembered her at 5 years old, promising to buy me a pretty dress one day. Her at 10, swearing she'd take me to Hawaii when she grew up. Her at 16, screaming "stop coming to school meetings. It's embarrassing, you don't even work." I remembered the day Zach told me to quit my job. She needs you at home more, he'd said, and I believed him. I gave up everything, my career, my independence, my voice, so she'd have more. And now, at 22, she was handing plane tickets to everyone but me. 2 days passed. New Year's Eve arrived. Then the final message came. If you're not home by noon, don't expect to be my mother anymore. I stared at the screen and smiled. Perfect, because I was already done being hers. I opened my email and sent Zach one message. No explanation, no emotion, just the attached divorce papers and one line. Please sign. If you refuse, I'll proceed in court. Then I turned off my phone, packed my bag, and walked toward the airport. While they boarded a plane to Hawaii, I boarded one to Iceland, a land of ice, silence, and no one who knew me as just anything. As the plane lifted off, I looked out the window and whispered to myself, being young is nice, but being free is better. I thought leaving would break them. I didn't know it would finally break me open. The Northern Lights didn't ask who I used to be. They didn't care that I had been someone's wife, someone's mother, someone's background noise for more than 20 years. They just danced. Green and violet ribbons stretched across the Icelandic sky. Alive and unapologetic, while I stood there wrapped in a thick coat, my breath fogging the frozen air. For the first time in my life, no one needed anything from me. No meals to cook. No dog to watch. No feelings to manage. Just silence. And then my phone buzzed. I looked at the screen and almost laughed. Samantha, voicemail. I let it play. Her voice was sharp, furious, shaking with something she'd never felt before. Are you serious right now? Are you using Dad's money to go on some solo vacation? I worked all year and barely saved anything. And you're just out there spending like this. Do you even care about anyone but yourself? You're so selfish. I didn't finish listening. I deleted it. She was right about one thing. I was being selfish. And for the first time in my life, it felt like oxygen. I took a picture of the aurora above me and posted it online. No explanation. No captions about family. Just 4 words. Feels like a dream. Less than a minute later, another notification appeared. Another voicemail. I didn't open it. Instead, I booked my next flight. Norway. I posted the boarding pass photo with a simple caption. Next stop. Brighter still. That's when Samantha broke. She started calling over and over. Missed calls, stacking like panic. Why did you run away? Why are you wasting money? Why are you acting like a child? I blocked her number. In Hawaii, their vacation cracked. Samantha cut her trip short. Zach started pacing hotel hallways like a man who'd lost something important. And when they finally went to my mother's house, hoping she'd pressure me back, she didn't. She asked one simple question that stopped them cold. When you all flew to Hawaii, did any of you ask Cheryl if she wanted to come? Silence. And in that silence, something shifted. They didn't miss me. They missed access. They missed control. And I was already too far away, standing under a foreign sky, finally choosing myself. They thought I'd come back when they called. They didn't realize I had already gone where they could never reach me. I didn't know it yet, but the moment my mother closed her door on them, something ugly bloomed in my daughter's chest. Fear. Not the fear of losing me. The fear of losing what I represented. Later, my mother told me how Samantha's face had gone pale when she realized the old house was sold. How her fingers had curled into fists when Zach whispered, "If your grandma sold it, then your mom has the money." That was the moment the story changed. Not Mom abandoned us. Not we hurt her. But she has something, and we want it back. That night in Iceland, wrapped in wool and silence, I felt lighter than I had in decades. I sat near a crackling bonfire with strangers who didn't know my past, didn't expect my labor, didn't measure my worth and usefulness. We laughed. We clinked bottles. Snow drifted down like forgiveness. And somewhere across the ocean, panic was setting in. The next morning, messages started again. Different tone this time. Softer? Mom, how's the weather? Are you eating okay? I saw your picture. It looks beautiful. I didn't answer. A day later, Mom, I'm sorry about what I said. I didn't mean it like that. Still, nothing. Then came the voice message. Her voice cracked, breath hitching. Mom, I was wrong. I didn't think you'd really leave. Please come home. I promise I'll change. I listened to the entire thing and smiled sadly. She still didn't understand. I didn't leave because of Hawaii. I didn't leave because of a gift. I left because I finally saw the truth. To them, I wasn't a person. I was a role, a function, a convenience. And once you see that clearly, you can never unsee it. I deleted the message. Then I turned off my phone and stepped into the cold again, letting the air sting my cheeks, letting it remind me that I was alive. A month later, I came back. Not because they called, because I was ready. And when I walked through the door, Zach looked like a man watching his safety net reappear. He grabbed his phone and whispered urgently, "She's back, hurry. If she signs the settlement, we lose access to the trust." That's when I knew. They never wanted me. They wanted my signature. And that was the moment I laid the divorce papers on the table and said the words that ended everything. Samantha rushed toward me the second she saw me. "Mom," she cried, arms open, voice thick with rehearsed relief. "I missed you so much." I raised my hand. Not in anger. In finality. She stopped mid-step, confusion flashing across her face. I reached into my purse and pulled out the papers neatly stacked, clipped together, inevitable. I laid them on the table, signed them. The room went silent. Zach's smile evaporated like it had never existed. The color drained from his face. "Cheryl," he said carefully, "what is this? You're really going to throw away 20 years because you felt excluded?" Excluded. That word was so small it almost made me laugh. I met his eyes, calm and clear. "You told me to quit my job," I said. "You taught our daughter that money equals value. You let your parents mock me. And now you're shocked I stopped begging." His voice hardened. "You lived comfortably for 2 decades. And now because your mother gave you money, you think you're above us." Samantha snapped instantly, the mask slipping. "Dad's right. You got money and suddenly you think you're better than everyone." I turned to her slowly. "Samantha," I said, steady, "I didn't raise you to look down on people who love you. I raised you to think. Somewhere along the way, you chose not to." Her mouth opened. No words came out. I turned back to Zach. "If you don't sign," I said evenly, "I'll take this to court." He stared at me like I'd grown teeth. Then I walked out. No yelling, no tears, just a door closing behind the woman who would never come back. The next morning, they went to my mother, hoping she'd pressure me. They didn't know she was done protecting them. They went to my mother's house the next morning. Same smiles. Same polite voices. Same fake concern. Only this time, the audience was different. My mother answered the door holding a warm cup of coffee. Calm as sunrise. "Cheryl's resting," she said evenly. "What do you want?" Samantha forced a smile. "Grandma, we're just worried. Mom's been acting impulsive." Zach nodded quickly. "We only want to protect the family assets." "She's emotional right now." My mother let them talk. That was her gift. She waited until they revealed exactly what they came for. Then she smiled thin, knowing, "So this is about the money," she said softly. Silence. She set her coffee down. "Let me be clear," she continued. "Cheryl is an adult. She doesn't need your permission or your protection, and she certainly doesn't need your hands in her future." Samantha's smile trembled. Zach tried again. "We're just trying to help." "No," my mother interrupted. "You're trying to reach her through me." Then she did something I'll never forget. She pointed to the door. Out. No shouting. No drama. Just a boundary. And when the door closed, it didn't slam, but the silence afterward was heavier than steel. Later that afternoon, I sat with my mother at her desk, staring at folders filled with numbers, accounts, documents, my future, not his, not ours, mine. She placed her hand over mine. This money was always meant to protect you, she said. You just needed it sooner. I picked up the pen, and, for the first time in my life, I signed for myself. That night, I froze every account they ever touched. And that's when Zach made his last desperate move. The call came 3 days later. Not from Zach. From my lawyer, Cheryl, Janet said, her voice tight but controlled. Your husband just filed a motion. I closed my eyes slowly. Of course he did. He's claiming partial rights to your trust fund, she continued. He's arguing that the money your mother transferred should be considered marital property. I let out a short, dry laugh. He really thinks he can rewrite time, I said. Janet sighed. He's desperate. He's saying the transfer happened during the marriage. But here's what Zach didn't understand. I hadn't just walked out emotionally. I had walked out legally. The transfer happened after I left the house. The account was solely in my name. The note from my mother was time-stamped and clear. For my dear daughter, go live your life. Zach wasn't fighting for fairness. He was fighting to keep control. The court hearing was quick. Zach walked in wearing the same gray suit from our wedding. Like nostalgia might soften the judge, it didn't. Janet laid out the documents, calmly bank records, dates, account access logs, his history of financial pressure. The judge skimmed the papers, looked up once, and said, "This money is not marital property. The claim is denied." That was it. One sentence. Years of control erased. When we stepped outside, Janet handed me a coffee and smiled. Do you know what he's really afraid of? She asked. I took a sip. Tell me. He's not afraid of losing the money, she said. He's afraid that you can spend it without asking him. She was right. Because power was never about love. It was about permission. And he no longer had any. Zach lost the money that day, but what he lost next hurt far more. Zach disappeared quietly after that. No dramatic goodbye. No public apology. Just absence. The kind that tells you someone finally understands they've lost. His name vanished from social gatherings first. Church friends stopped calling. The warm smiles he once wore like armor cracked when people realized the woman who held his life together had walked away and thrived. Without me, his world shrank fast. No one reminded him to eat. No one organized his appointments. No one covered the messes he used to call mistakes. Then his health began to fail. The back pain he'd ignored for years got worse. The company quietly removed his name from internal listings. Credit concerns, they said. I understood immediately. For years, he had leaned on my name. My stability. My silence. Without it, even the bank didn't trust him. Samantha tried next. She lost her job during downsizing and suddenly reinvented herself online, posting videos about confidence, independence, empowerment. The irony almost hurt. She had never learned independence. She'd only learned control. Then her boyfriend left. A week later, he got engaged to someone else. Samantha collapsed. She posted tearful videos blaming a selfish mother who abandoned her. She painted herself as the victim. But the comments didn't go the way she expected. She didn't abandon you. She chose herself. That woman didn't run away, she woke up. Someone reposted my photo under the northern lights with the caption, "This is what freedom looks like." I liked it. I never replied to Samantha's messages. Not the apologies. Not the guilt. Not the bait. The only thing left between us was paperwork. And even that was ending. When I finally spoke again, it wasn't to them. It was two women who had been silent just like me. The quiet didn't scare me anymore. It wrapped around me like a warm shawl, soft, steady, earned. I woke up when my body wanted to. I ate when I was hungry. I went days without explaining myself to anyone. No one asked where I was going. No one checked how much I spent. No one measured my worth and usefulness. For the first time in decades, my life belonged to me. Sometimes, I caught myself reaching for old habits, cooking too much food, checking my phone for messages that would never come, bracing for criticism that no longer existed. Then I'd stop and breathe. I kept my world small and honest. Morning walks, library afternoons, evenings with books and tea. And my mother, quietly proud, never intrusive, would sometimes look at me and say, "You look lighter." I was, not because life was perfect, but because it was mine. I never saw Zach again. I heard, through distant whispers, that his health continued to decline. That the people who once praised him moved on quickly when he could no longer offer anything in return. Samantha stopped trying. When guilt didn't work, when apologies didn't open doors, when tears didn't unlock accounts, she vanished. And strangely, that hurt less than I expected. Because I finally understood. Some people don't miss you. They miss what you gave. And once you stop giving, they call it cruelty. But it isn't. It's survival. One afternoon, while shelving books at the library, a young woman stopped me. "I heard your story," she said softly. "I'm scared to leave, but I'm more scared to disappear." I held her hand and said the only truth I had earned. Staying silent doesn't protect love. It only protects pain. That night, I sat by my window watching the city lights flicker on one by one. And I realized something simple, something powerful. I hadn't lost a family. I had outgrown a cage. Love that demands erasure isn't love. Family that thrives on your silence isn't family. And freedom, real freedom, often begins the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. So if you're listening to this and wondering whether it's too late, it isn't. It's only late if you keep waiting. I didn't disappear. I arrived. If this story touched you, share where you're listening from. Someone out there might need to hear that it's okay to choose themselves, just like I finally did. The quiet didn't scare me anymore. It wrapped around me like a warm shawl, soft, steady, earned. I woke up when my body wanted to. I ate when I was hungry. I went days without explaining myself to anyone. No one asked where I was going. No one checked how much I spent. No one measured my worth and usefulness. For the first time in decades, my life belonged to me. Sometimes, I caught myself reaching for old habits, cooking too much food, checking my phone for messages that would never come, bracing for criticism that no longer existed. Then I'd stop and breathe. I kept my world small and honest. Morning walks, library afternoons, evenings with books and tea. And my mother, quietly proud, never intrusive, would sometimes look at me and say, "You look lighter." Not because life was perfect, but because it was mine. I never saw Zach again. I heard, through distant whispers, that his health continued to decline. That the people who once praised him moved on quickly when he could no longer offer anything in return. Samantha stopped trying. When guilt didn't work, when apologies didn't open doors, when tears didn't unlock accounts, she vanished. And strangely, that hurt less than I expected, because I finally understood. Some people don't miss you. They miss what you gave. And once you stop giving, they call it cruelty. But it isn't. It's survival. One afternoon, while shelving books at the library, a young woman stopped me. "I heard your story," she said softly. "I'm scared to leave, but I'm more scared to disappear." I held her hand and said the only truth I had earned. Staying silent doesn't protect love. It only protects pain. That night, I sat by my window watching the city lights flicker on one by one, and I realized something simple, something powerful. I hadn't lost a family. I had outgrown a cage. Love that demands erasure isn't love. Family that thrives on your silence isn't family. And freedom begins the moment you stop asking for permission to exist. So if you're listening to this and wondering whether it's too late, it isn't. It's only late if you keep waiting. I didn't disappear. I arrived. If this story touched you, share where you're listening from. Someone out there might need to hear that it's okay to choose themselves, just like I finally did.